Hello, everyone. There's a breaking news. Justice Omotosho convicts Nnamdi Kanu on terrorism charge after ruling he forfeited right to defend himself. So Innamdi Kanu has been convicted of terrorism charges. Delivering the judgment, and this is according to Sahara reporters, delivering the ruling, Justice James Omotosho stated that the prosecution's case stood unchallenged following Kanu's refusal to properly present a defense and his removal from the courtroom earlier in the day over repeated unruly behavior. The Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday convicted the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, on count one of the charges against him after holding that Kanu did not enter a defense or offer any explanation to counter the prosecution's evidence. Delivering the ruling, Justice James Omotosho stated that the prosecution's case stood unchallenged following Kanu's refusal to properly present a defense and his removal from the courtroom earlier in the day over repeated unruly behavior. This court therefore holds that the prosecution has established count one beyond reasonable doubt, the judge declared. Consequently, the defendant is hereby convicted in respect of count one. Sahara reporters earlier reported that Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja on Monday ordered that proceedings, including the delivery of judgment, would continue in the absence of Nnamdi Kanu, citing the IPOB's leader's persistent unruly behavior in the courtroom. Security operatives subsequently escorted Kanu out of the courtroom as the judge moved on with the day's proceedings. The courtroom of the Federal High Court in Abuja was tense on Monday as Justice James Omotosho clashed with a detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu after delivering a ruling that dismissed his latest bail application. However, Nnamdi Kanu objected to the ruling and challenged the court to show him the law that says he cannot be granted bail while the case is on trial. Show me the law, Justice Omotosho, show me the law. Any judgment from this court is kangaroo. It is premeditated, says Kanu. This is the decision. I appeal to you to compose yourself. This is the temple of justice. Justice Omotosho said, turning to Kanu, who appeared visibly agitated. Please, I beg you to compose yourself. You have the right to appeal. Can you excuse me? The judge later ordered that he should be removed from the court. Kanu had filed another request for bail in the midst of his trial, but the court held that the application fell outside the permissible categories of bail and was inconsistent with Section 306 of the ACJA. Justice Omotosho noted that the defense had already entered its final address in compliance with an earlier order of the court. In a tense courtroom showdown, Nnamdi Kanu erupted in protest against the presiding judge, Justice Omotosho, insisting on his constitutional right to present a final written address. Kanu, visibly angered, argued that he had not forfeited this right and demanded that the court hear him before any ruling could proceed. The courtroom erupted into chaos as Kanu continued to challenge the authority of the judge. Kanu insisted that the judge must first listen to his final submission. Eyewitnesses described the scenes of drama as security personnel prepared to escort Kanu out while he repeatedly called for justice to be served in accordance with the law. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court had on November 7th fixed Thursday, November 20th for judgment after ruling that Kanu had failed to open his defense within the 6 days allocated to him. Sahara reporters had reported that the IPOB leader filed a motion challenging the validity of the terrorism charges against him, arguing that the Repeal Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act rendered the charges unlawful. He asked the court to strike out the case, expunge the purported plea of not guilty entered by him, and order his release. Kanu maintained that the proceedings were a nullity and sought an order directing his release on the grounds that the charges disclosed no offense known to law. Kanu had also filed a fresh suit before the Court of Appeal seeking to halt today's judgment, but the appellate court has not fixed date for hearing and has issued no order. Hmm. Okay. The long awaited trial judgment has come. I don't know what, well, we've seen the fact that Kanu has appealed this, even before the judgment, he has appealed his own case. Reason is that there is nothing in the law that has this particular charge against him. The act that used to have it has been repealed. And so because it has been repealed, it is no longer, something that can be charged. It's no longer a crime that can be charged against someone. And if there's nothing in an act, in law, you cannot charge someone of that particular thing until and unless it is explicitly stated in the law. Because if not, every other thing would be a crime. If anybody chooses to make it a crime, or somebody is dancing, somebody says, "Oh, you're not supposed to dance now," it's a crime. If it's not, and they go ahead and try you and judge you and give a ruling on you, but it's not in the law. And so these are some of the arguments that Kanu. For those of you who have not followed the story, and some of you will be wondering why is it that now he is not without, he did not enter any plea. Kanu had dismissed his lawyers and said he was going to, stand for himself, give himself, be the counsel to himself. At the same time, earlier on, he had brought out a lot of prominent people that he had lined up that they were going to serve as witnesses. But unfortunately, what happened was that he came later to say he was not going to do that, but the route that he was going to follow was that which he said there is no charges. And you did hear where he asked the court to strike out the case and expunge it because, according to him, the charges for him for which he is being held no longer exist as in the Nigerian in any of the Nigerian law. So it's a whole lot of drama that has been going on. This is definitely not going to be the end of it. It's just the beginning, and we'll see how far it goes. We'll continue to monitor the case and bring it to you on the issues that are out there. And I'm sure a lot of people will be waiting to see the certified true copy of the judgment, because that is when you know what is it exactly. No matter what they read, no matter what they said, as long as it is not certified, it can simply be said, "Oh no, that's not what it actually meant, or that's not the way it's supposed to go." But at the end of the day, you're going to have that certified true copy that says everything, and then we all can read and see on what basis this judgment was done, and people can adjust for themselves whether justice was served or justice was denied. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.